Us this interview. We understand that it's a little bit prompt, but your swift response would definitely help. So recently we understand that you've been having some challenges in terms of the ferries, and there are lots of complaints that comes from the passengers that board these ferry services. Now my first question is, are these ferries actually safe, to transport people from one end to the other?
Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Fatu Network, for this interview. We are glad to have you here. We want to say that our ferries are very, very, very safe to be plying across the river for the Banjul-Bara, both for passengers and for vehicles. Very, very safe. That can be, we can assure you of that.
So, most of the time the ferries have always had challenges, breakdowns in the middle of the sea, and when they're about to anchor. Could you take us through what is actually going wrong, or where have it gone wrong?
Yeah, yes. Well, thank you for that question. I think what happened is these are legacy issues. We have been having ferries, like the Kunta Kinte has been here for 7 years, for 6 years, since 2017, but it has never been dried up. It has never been taken on a shipyard where it will be scraped and then any welding done, any holes welded and repainted. And without doing that, marine growth, we have a lot of marine growth of the ferries. So that limits the speed that the ferry can propose. So the issue of the age of the ferries, they are not very old, the ferries, but the engines are due for replacement. And that is already in the pipeline. I'm sure you are aware that we ordered 6 new engines. 3 have already arrived since over a month ago. The other 3 are expected in the next month or 2. So the challenge that we have is the age of the engines. We need replacement. So not only the replacement of the engines, but the propulsion systems also. The propulsion systems are mainly shuttle, and that is what causes the ferry to move. So the problems, again, the propulsion system, because of the nets that are generally thrown around the Bara end, they get stuck onto the propellers, and those propellers are what propels the systems through the propulsion system. So when the propellers catch the nets, then there is damage happening in the system, and it is very expensive. So currently, we are in the process of dry docking the ferries, but that is in the medium term. But today, we are fixing the engines, and we will get back to service hopefully in the next 3 hours. At most by 2 p.m., 3 p.m. today, we will get back to service. So the press release said 24 hours, but that 24 hours was meant for from yesterday to today. So we would get back to service in the next few hours, definitely.
So the ferry constantly breaks down every now and then. Is that not a sign of disaster, to the ferries?
No, we can assure the government and the general public that it is not a sign of disaster. Whenever we foresee that there will be a challenge for the ferry to ply from Banjul to Bara or from Bara to Banjul, we do the safest thing to do. The safest thing to do is to unload all the vehicles and passengers and use them on the next ferry, like what happened yesterday morning. So it's not a sign of disaster. Instead, it's a safety measure that's safety first. So the operations are very, very safe. We want to assure everybody that. That is why we occasionally have to bring people down from the ferry and use them on the next ferry, transport them on the next ferry.
Now, let's talk about corruption, sometimes affecting your institution in terms of buying spare parts from local authorities. We understand that sometimes some of these people or engineers would inflate the price just to get parts from the local suppliers. How does this affect the services of the ferries? Cognizant of the fact that the issues of engine breaking down continues to occur at the ferry department.
Yes, okay, thank you. I think that I'm not saying that is not happening or that has not been happening before. However, it is at a very, very minimal level now. We do not even buy spare parts from local suppliers. Most of our spares are flown from overseas, mainly from international, very reputable firms whose parts, like the shuttle system, the propulsion system, is mainly shuttle. So we mostly order them from shuttle in Germany. The ferries were supplied by Damen shipyard. Most of the spares also we buy from Damen and other international suppliers. But we have minimized a lot in the procurement of spares locally. That used to happen a lot, but now it is very, very minimal. We do not buy spares locally. And the international ones are done through tenders, in which we always go for the cheapest, not only the cheapest, but the quality-wise also. Because locally might be a bit cheaper, but it's very expensive because it gets broken down very easily. So we minimize, unless at very, very short notice, where we have to use it just for a day or two to ensure that we get back to service. But we do not buy most of our spares locally. We do not.
Now, a lot of the time, people complain of the services that you offer to the general public. People are never happy with the services in terms of customer care, in terms of time, you know, and this does not go down well to the general public. Are there any plans for the ferries department to actually privatize this, the ferry system, just to have the services delivered on time and then in the best interest of Gambians?
Okay, I think it's true that we have challenges when it comes to customer care and the time of our service delivery. So as far as the customer care is concerned, we are continuously training our staff on the principle of the customer is always right, that customers should always come first, and we try to take care of our customers as much as we can, to be courteous to customers. Like the issue of change, we try them to understand that at times we are constrained. So we would improve on that, better monitoring of our staff to ensure that they are much more representative of the image of the institution, rather than having a wrong approach with our customers. As far as time is concerned, the challenge is capacity. When you have the demand more than what is available on the ground, supply, to be departing on time is occasionally a challenge, because the ferries work very, very long hours. Imagine ferries operating from 5:30, 6 in the morning until 1 a.m. continuously. That is a challenge. So once we increase the fleet, and I can also announce that we are signing for a new ferry in the next 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, hopefully. The ferry would be the same capacity as Kanilai, with an improved designed to take care of our local conditions. And with that, the delivery expected between 14 and 16 months. We hope that once that ferry is delivered, we can have enough capacity, and we can then be withdrawing the old fleet and be doing maintenance. We will have 3 ferries then, minimum. We can be doing regular maintenance of the ferries. But now, what we are faced is we have the demand more than what we can supply. So we are even constrained to withdraw a ferry unless there is a breakdown. So that is the fact of the matter. But hopefully with the replacement of the engines on board the ferry Kunta Kinte and Kanilai, we can do regular maintenance of the ferries, and that regular maintenance would then allow us to be deploying the ferries on time, satisfy the customers, both for passengers and the vehicular traffic.
Now, what are your thoughts on privatizing the ferry services?
Yes. Thank you. Privatizing the ferry services is an option for government. But you know, the challenge there is the price of the service. We all know that $35 is for a passenger from Banjul to Bara. If you privatize it, the rest assured that would quadruple or multiple by 5 times or 6 times. So the issue is privatization is possible. Government has even given a license to a private operator who is trying to invest adequately to operate, but it's a challenge. Privatization means increased cost, and it does not always turn into improvement in service. So we welcome the approach, but what we always guide government is that let it be done in a process that would add to that would be value addition to the citizenry and to the government. What you don't want is to privatize, and then the private operator would have more benefits than the current operator of the ferries, because now a private operator coming to start operation would not pay duty, whilst we are paying duty, because they will be given special investment certificates. They will not pay duty, whilst we are paying duty. We are paying duty on our vehicles, we are paying duty on our spare parts. A private operator starting new would not pay duty, and you know that is a cost disadvantage. How can the ferries be paying duty on our operations, on our daily fuel consumption for the ferries, of our daily spare parts ordering, whilst a private operator will be given special investment certificate, and the operator would not pay that. So you know that is the problem that we are facing currently. We welcome privatization, but let it be on a level playing field where the ferries can compete effectively with private operators.
We understand that you make a lot of money from the services that you offer to the general public, especially on special occasion days. Now, are there any plans as manager for you to actually have a ferry specifically for people that would ply now and then for effective services and then at a faster pace compared to the normal ferries?
Yes, thank you. That is a dedicated ferry service rather than with vehicles and these cattle, these animals. You know, that also, once again, is possible. We are looking forward to do that once we increase the present capacity. Because right now, we are dealing with the general public, our mothers and our fathers, the farmers flying from Nyomi to Banjul, Banjul to Nyomi, selling their vegetables. Those people do not want what you are talking about. What you are talking about is for the private people who have money and they can pay, let's say, $500 to cross. Whilst what we are catering for now is for the average citizen, the school children, the civil servants who cannot afford those very high prices. So in the long run, once we improve the capacity, we can look at a segmented market for people who have the money and they are ready to pay, let's say, $250 to cross. And that would be only passenger traffic. That would be looked at in the long run. But for the immediate needs, we want to satisfy the general public, and the general public means the farmers, the teachers, the policemen, the soldiers, and the general civil servants. Those cannot pay the $250 or $500 to cross Banjul Barra. So that is the issue that we face currently.
Now, the Barra terminal or landing site for the ferry is a ticking time bomb, and there are so many concerns with regards to when the ferry is anchoring. What plans or measures are you taking to making sure that that is addressed? Because time without numbers, we've seen buses or cars, you know, some assaulting, plunging into the river. Could you take us through as to what plans or what measures are you going to take to avert such incidents?
Yes, actually you are right. The unfortunate issue that we had some few months ago when a bus almost plunged into the water, but that was unfortunate. There was no ferry on the ground. The driver had a breakdown and was doing maintenance around the terminal, and instead of waiting for a ferry to come, I think the driver was testing the engine and he was pushed without any brake, and he rolled slowly until the beginning of the water. However, now we have started putting chains to access so that you cannot, that would not happen. If you come, the chain will stop you from plunging into the water. And the people are also stopped. There is adequate security on the place to ensure that we do not repair our vehicles inside the terminal. Whoever has a breakdown in the terminal, your vehicle has to be pushed outside the terminal and you do your maintenance outside instead of doing any maintenance inside the yard. So that was unfortunate, but we have taken measures to ensure that it cannot happen again.
Now, one more final question. The rams at Banjul and Barra are of a challenge to the ferries when they are about to anchor.
Yeah.
Now, and most of the time, we understand that these are old rams.
Yeah.
Now, take us through what is your management doing to address that in terms of safety?
Yeah. No, thank you very much. Those are the ferry landers. It has hoisting mechanism, which is a very old technology. And we unfortunately did not do the rehabilitation that was required of it. Some 2-3 years ago, the management did works on it. The landers where the vehicles ply were replaced, but the hoisting mechanism were not part of that arrangement. However, for us, we are currently on a public tender process, and it will be advertised and it will be rehabilitated. We want to assure everybody that it will be rehabilitated and redone properly before the arrival of this new ferry.
How too soon are we going to see this rehabilitation? Because most of the time, public officials will always give assurances just to please the media, and then at the end of the day, they don't do the work.
Yes. No, actually, my way of operating is not like that. We do not promise and then give, not deliver on the promises. I want to assure you that you will see, the general public will see changes as far as the level of customer satisfaction is concerned in the ferry, the availability of the engines on board the ferries. You will see a lot of improvements there. The propulsion systems on the ferries, you will see a lot of improvements there. The availability of a new ferry, you will see it also.
But timelines are not put on this. You just said we will see, but
I can give you timelines.
Most of these timelines would actually help us to fact check most of these things that you
monitor. Yes, I can give you timelines now.
Okay.
The new ferry is the longest one. The new ferry, we will hopefully get a new ferry maximum in the next 16 months. Take note of that. The engines on Kunta Kinte would be dry docked. That is going to the city yard and put up and so that it's scraped, painted, the engines replaced. That one would happen in the next month. We would dry dock it and replace the engines. As far as Canela is concerned, a Dutch company has been contracted to replace all the 4 engines and the cooling systems. That one would happen once we stabilize Kunta Kinte. Because what we don't want is like what is happening today, no service. We want to improve on one of the ferries so that the other one can be properly taken care of. So the priority is Kunta Kinte engines would be done, the propulsion systems done, the ferries brought back to service, and then the Canela would take, I believe, delivery and installation works would be another 3 months for Canela. So those are the timelines. And for the ferry, the lander, the hoisting mechanism itself, that one is in the papers. The tender has not yet been completed. The contract has not yet been awarded. But hopefully, within the next 6 months at maximum, we will be able to deliver on that.
One more question. Now, the ferries are not environmental friendly in terms of the weather during the rainy season, and also, are there any plans to put up shades, you know, somewhere when it rains, people can actually have somewhere to at least sit in, and then during the dry season, at least to have something where people can cool their heads off?
Good. Yeah. Actually, as part of the design for the new ferry that I just mentioned to you, that is part of what we intend to do. We want to improve on the environmental friendliness, user friendliness, to ensure that we have better utilization of the ferries, better comfort. Even the number of toilets on board will be increased. The positioning of the toilets would be improved. So we have learned on our challenges on Kunta Kinte, and the ferry would be as big as Kunta Kinte, but with improved facilities, and it will be a greener ferry also. It will be using both diesel fuel and electricity also as part of its operating mechanism. So we want to contribute to the SDGs and utilize a ferry which is greener than what we currently have.
Now, coming to the current ferries in terms of facilities, they are not customer friendly at all. What are you doing to actually improve that? Because most of the time, some people will be pressed and there's no facility for them, and then this is not welcome. Yeah. The other thing is also the environment. There are no dustbins, there are no cleaning services taking place on these ferries. What is your management doing to improve all those things?
Yes, actually the management is doing a lot. On the toilets, I think from here, if you want, you can access Kunta Kinte and you look at the ferries. Since the public clamor about a month ago on the situation of the toilets, they have all been redone. Please, I encourage you to pass by, get access to the ferry, go on board. You will see that the very, very improved toilet facilities. Then, as far as the user friendliness is concerned, the general cleanliness, we appreciate that it was not the best. We used to have a standing contract with the Banjul City Council, but they are also challenged. So we are working with a private sector operator now who is doing the cleanliness, the cleaning services, and it has also improved a lot. I can assure you that. You can go around the terminal today, inspect both the cleanliness of the yard and also on board the ferry, inspect the toilets, verify for yourself the condition. It has definitely improved. I can assure you that.
Now, what do you want to add to this interview in case we leave out anything?
No, I think I want to thank you for coming and requesting for this interview. We really appreciate your effort in your job. You are doing a very difficult job, but we want to assure the general public that these are all legacy issues. These are problems that we have found here, and we are trying to tackle them slowly. You know, when you are solving problems, the outcome, the performance, the positives do not come out early. They are underneath and they are coming up. People would realize better service delivery. I can assure everybody of that in the very near future. The quality, the timeliness of the ferries would improve from Banjul Bara and in the provincial stations. The cleanliness of the ferries would improve. The engines, the conditions of the engines would improve. And we will give them a new ferry in the next, not more than the next 16 months. So we are saying our apologies for the inconvenience that is happening, but these are all legacy issues and they will be resolved in the very, very, very near future. So we want to assure you of that, and we thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you, Mr. Tambedu. That was a great interview, and looking forward to seeing some of these improvements done. As a network, we will follow up with the required services, and most of these timelines that you stated here, we will make a follow-up on that. Once again, thank you so much for this interview. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jallo, Mr. Jame, and Mr. C, I think. Thank you. Thank you for everybody.
Thank you so much.